COVID has been on the up in August, and with 2 new variants identified, lots of people will be thinking about it again for the first time in a while.
Yeah, but for others, COVID has never really gone away. So we sent Kevin Dwala to check up on how patients and the NHS are coping.
Many people think of COVID as a thing of the past. But others, they are still feeling the effects of the virus to this day. 3 years after the pandemic began, an estimated 2 million people believe they are living with long COVID. That's when your symptoms last for 4 weeks or more after that initial infection. And sadly, many people are suffering in silence. Globetrotting Lucy was a real adventurer. Then COVID struck. 3 years later, she relies on a wheelchair. Today, she's meeting others like her at this support group in Manchester. Morning, morning. All people living with the symptoms of long COVID.
I'm still getting used to having to ask for support, which is really quite hard when you're used to being so independent. The fatigue, I just could feel I'd sleep for 10 hours, wake up and just feel like my whole body was made of lead. You know, this is 6 months past COVID. I think my saving grace was that my GP had long COVID herself, so she recognised the symptoms, and I just think we really are lacking knowledge and understanding across the board.
Mike was referred to a long COVID clinic by his GP. His condition forced him to give up working as a business analyst, a job he says he loved.
I caught COVID in November 2020. I went off sick. I improved for a little bit. I'd returned to work. Unfortunately, I never got past 12 and a half hours. I'd feel like I was going to collapse because the exhaustion.
Do you think a lot of people think long COVID is nothing, it doesn't exist?
COVID's gone. That's what people believe. Myself and many other people that I know, we are the people that are left behind.
Managing the effects of long COVID is something many people want to see employees take more seriously. There have been calls for the UK government to recognise long COVID as an occupational disease for key workers. Dr. Binita Kane is a consultant respiratory physician who has a special interest in long COVID. As part of a range of treatments, her clinic provides cold water therapy to patients in pain that live with the condition.
Long COVID can affect any body system or organ, and therefore up to 250 different symptoms have been described.
Is that why it's been so difficult to pinpoint or to diagnose, do you think?
A lot of the symptoms overlap with other conditions, and also we know that COVID is associated with worsening or even triggering some known conditions.
A Department of Health and Social Care spokesperson told us it is backing scientists with more than £50 million to better understand the long-term effects of this virus and make treatments available, and pointed out there are over 100 adult and 13 children's specialist long COVID services operating in England. But Binita says more needs to be done to support long COVID sufferers.
What this has really shown is that our single organ model of medicine doesn't work, so you've got a heart specialist and a lung specialist, and what we need are experts in one team, really look after that whole person.
Back at the support group, Alana's long COVID has impacted her pre-existing health conditions, chronic fatigue and pain.
Before I got COVID, I was a support worker for severely disabled children. I then got COVID, and basically I haven't been back to work. I was getting sent to A&E by doctors about once, twice a week with heart attack symptoms. I use a mobility scooter now to get around.
You were caring and now you're being looked after.
I've had people tell me, oh, I had COVID, it's only a cold. And I went, well, it's a cold that's kept me out of work for over a year.
COVID hasn't gone away for this group, and millions like them. Hopefully people affected by long COVID will find the help they need.
Thank you so much to everyone for sharing their story. And if you would like more info about long COVID, there's a link on our website.